The fourth process of the deliver service and support domain, called manage continuity, has 8 practices. The second practice is to maintain a continuity strategy. The entities responsible for this practice include the business process owners, the Chief Information Officer, and the Business Continuity Manager. The entity that is held accountable is the Chief Operating Officer. The practice receives 2 inputs, which are the risk root causes and the risk impact communications, both from the AP012 process. It generates 3 outputs, which are the business impact analysis to be used by the AP012 process, the approved strategic options to be used by the AP02 process, and the continuity improvements to be used internally. The activities involved in this practice include identifying potential scenarios that might cause disruptive incidents, and conducting an analysis to evaluate their impact on the business. The minimum time required to recover the affected business processes or IT services should be established, based on the business tolerance for interruption. The likelihood of threats should be assessed, and measures to reduce this likelihood should be identified. Continuity requirements should be analyzed to select the adequate technical and business options, and the relevant decision makers should be identified. Resources required for each selected technical option should be identified, and the business approval for it should be obtained. The third practice is to implement a business continuity response. The entities responsible for this practice are the business process owners, the Chief Information Officer, and the head of IT operations. The entity that is held accountable is the Business Continuity Manager. The practice receives 1 input, which is the organizational level agreement from the AP09 process. It generates 2 outputs, which are the incident response actions to be used by the DSS02 process, and the business continuity plan to be used internally. The activities involved in this practice include defining the response actions to be taken during a disruption, and how the communications will be conducted. The relevant roles and responsibilities should be defined, showing who is to be accountable for the actions. An operational business continuity plan should be developed, that defines the procedures to be followed. It has to be ensured that third parties and key suppliers have an effective continuity plan in place. The recovery procedures should be defined, and the required resources should be identified. The information backup requirements should be defined, and the skills of the relevant employees should be assessed. The plan should be documented, distributed to the authorized entities, and made available when required. The fourth practice is to test and review the business continuity plan. The entities responsible for this practice include the business process owners, the Chief Information Officer, and the audit function. The entity that is held accountable is the Business Continuity Manager. The practice receives no inputs, but generates 3 outputs, which are the test objectives, the test exercises, and the test results and recommendations, all to be used internally. The activities involved in this practice include defining the objectives for testing the different aspects of the continuity plan. This includes testing the business, technical, administrative, and operational systems, to verify that the plan is meeting all the requirements. Testing exercises should be defined and agreed on, and the continuity procedures should be validated. Roles and responsibilities for performing the testing exercises should be defined, and the test activities should be scheduled. Post-testing analysis should be performed, and recommendations for improving the plan should be developed.